करना कैसा जब साथ हो कोई क्योरिक्स जैसा? Qurex Podcast, a place where we decode all your sexual health concerns with the modified lens of medical science. Today, let's welcome Ms. Twinkle Gupta, psychologist by profession but writer by heart.
Thank you. Thank you, Shailja, for calling me here.
So, today we have Ms. Twinkle to decode a concern sent to us by a 27-year-old female. So, Ms. Twinkle, female ये हमें लिखती हैं, Hi, I'm a 27-year-old and I have been facing some difficulties that I'm unable to resolve by simply talking to my partner. Our sex life has been very slow and uninteresting as he ends up refusing to do sex a lot of times. I thought things will get better with time, however, the current situation makes me feel extremely underconfident and unattractive around him. I don't know if what I think is right or not, but for me, sex is very important in a relationship. How to know if there is something wrong with me wanting this, or is my relationship dead? So, Miss Twinkle, what exactly do you think is the situation here?
I think that the feelings shared by this woman are absolutely natural because when you know that there's some sort of rejection coming to your face, whether it's physical or emotional, but you don't know the reason behind it, it's bound to create those feelings of restlessness, I guess.
I, I can completely understand it, that is true. But, Miss Twinkle, what can be the possible causes behind this rejection from her partner?
So we can't be sure that this is the problem and this is the particular cause when it comes to situations like these where we do not have enough information. But as a psychologist, I would say that I need to know somebody's logic behind the perception of a situation or their feeling in a particular area. That helps us understand where they are coming from and what could be the possible issue. However, in most cases like these that have come across to me, one of the most relevant problem that I have experienced is mismatched sexual drives among partners.
Although the word explains a bit, but still would love to understand more that what exactly is this mismatched sexual drives?
Right. So as you only said, when if we are talking about a monogamous relationship, so when two partners have different sexual drives in comparison, like one might have high sexual drive or low sexual drive, or what we scientifically call it libido. If they have a different, it's mismatched sexual drive. If I had to explain it in more layman terms, then when we are in a stable relationship, we tend to figure that we know everything about our partners. And over the years, we forget that as phases of our life are changing, their choices can also change. And we keep on reinforcing those choices in our relationship.
So, if I'm not wrong, is it that two partners start taking each other for granted?
So I wouldn't say that you're entirely wrong, but there's a possibility that even the partner could be coming from a very positive point of view. They know that their partner likes something when they are engaging sexually, and they're just maybe overcompensating it. But over time, that preference for that partner has changed. So that can actually cause mismatched sexual drives for the both of them. Yeah, but what I really wanted to say here is I really want to point this out that having a sex drive is absolutely normal. It is a comparative term. We need to understand that. Having a high sexual drive or low sexual drive is absolutely subjective. It depends upon your preferences of sexual engagement, it depends upon your frequency. And third thing, having mismatched sexual drives is not the issue here. Not being comfortable with the mismatched sexual drives is what causes the problem.
Agreed. So, if I'm not wrong, by being comfortable with mismatched sexual drives is by knowing that there is a mismatched sexual drives between the partners.
And having a mutual ground to resolve that.
Right. But I think before being comfortable with it, one has to understand that they are facing the problem of mismatched sexual drive. So how do one know that they are facing mismatched sexual drive in their relationship?
So you're absolutely correct that it's important to understand what could be causing the issue and if there's even an issue of mismatched sexual drive. So this can be figured out if we, think about it for a while. A person with low sexual drive will actually try and compensate for their partner's high sexual drive. And if they are doing that, that can lead to feelings of overwhelm, which is absolutely natural. And eventually, when this overwhelm piles up, it can lead to resentment towards their partner's needs, guilt, shame that am I only good for sex for my partner?
Very true.
Whereas when a person with high sexual drive is taking the command in the relationship and they don't want their partner to feel pressured, they might end up curbing their sexual drives, having that feeling of something missing in the relationship. These are some things that are very natural, and if we're not overlooking them, we can actually figure out that okay, there might not be a fundamental issue in our relationship, but an issue of mismatched sexual drives.
Right, I agree. So, Miss Twinkle, you just mentioned that there can be high and low sexual drives between two partners, which is called as mismatched sexual drives. But here I would like to ask you, I can understand this can be a tricky question, but is there any normal sexual drives defined in the medical science?
All right. So, is there, I would like to ask you if there's a particular number of clothes in your closet that could define whether you look good or bad?
So, but I'm sure not for women at least.
Yeah. So in sexual drives, I would say that it's very similar for both men and women, that there's no particular limit or medically defined guideline that could, determine that you have a normal sexual drive. As I mentioned earlier also, it's a very comparative term and it depends upon the people involved in the relationship.
Agree that one can have high, one can have low.
Or if they are comfortable, if they are working it out, it might not even feel high or low for both of them. It would feel that they are equally interested in sex for each other.
I agree. And just coming to this, then, what can be the major causes behind this mismatched sexual drives?
Right. So there are a number of causes, and I would say that it's better to consult with a professional to understand causes behind this person's or anybody who's going through such issue, to understand their causes. But some of the common causes includes medical reasons. Somebody has met with an accident, they are recovering from it, they are on medication that could have an impact. Certain antidepressants have effect on the libido levels of an individual. There could be hormonal changes, because there are cases where men consume artificial testosterone to enhance their physical appearance. Then women go through menopause, they go through menstruation, they go through pregnancy, and all of these changes in life, they cause major levels disturbance in the levels of hormones that can definitely influence the libido of that particular individual. And coming to my forte, to the psychological reasons or causes behind something like this, again, what I might say might not be the only reasons, but these are the most prevalent reasons that I've come across over the years in anybody's psychological practice. So, lifestyle circumstances are the major areas that cover somebody's sexual drive. If somebody is undergoing through extreme stress at work, at home, financial stress, somebody is grieving the loss of somebody else, or if there's there I have seen cases where partner comes up that I feel that I'm carrying most of the relationship here. There's work at home, there's work of children, there's the whole relationship, everything's on me. I don't feel that attracted towards my husband or my wife anymore.
Agreed.
So these are life circumstances. Then comes if there are interpersonal relationship issues going on. If you feel that there are needs that have been put out but they're not being met, then there are reasons like excessive alcohol use. And then one of the most overlooked reasons that I've come across is your definition of sex is very major to your sexual drive. There are people who come from areas where they're brought up with negative sex psychology,
That's true.
and anything indulging in different kinds of sex, sexual activities, or doing something that does not define sex for them.
Yeah, I think people have a lot of religion or cultural beliefs behind the word sex in their lives. Absolutely. That they feel, some people feel that sex is not a good thing. Some people feel that this way, a particular way of doing sex is not a good
Yeah, so
thing.
most of the people think that only penetrative sex is the kind of sex that needs to be indulged in.
Is there, are there other ways of sex also to get indulged in, and where people can, two partners can feel good with each other?
Yeah, I feel that this is a lesser understood fact that only having penetrative sex is not the way forward when we talk about sexual activity or engagement. There's foreplay. There are other ways a couple can, figure out their ways of physical touch that are positive for them. That could include as something as basic as kissing somebody on the forehead before leaving for work to showering together. All of these things are meant to enhance your intimate and non-intimate. They are meant to, fulfill your needs there.
Yeah, so basically, drives can be fulfilled not only with penetrative sex. Somebody having a high sexual drive or low sexual drive can not only be fulfilled with penetrative sex, but there are other things which you can do to fulfill each other's drives. Very true. To match each other's drives, actually. Very true. I mean, very important thing I think I want to know today. So again, coming to this, Miss Twinkle, but that okay, somebody got to know that that can be the possible cause, but how to cope up with this situation of mismatched sexual drives if partners got to know that okay, we are facing mismatched sexual drives.
I think it's safe to say that I have overspoken about this, that communication is the key in these kinds of concerns in a relationship. Sweeping these topics under the carpet is not going to help unless and until we are understanding there's nothing personal going on here. You are not less attractive for your partner, but there is something that might be affecting their sexual drive. There are ways that we have discussed right now. Then one of the major things that I've seen working is couples that are able to keep their new relationship energy intact, pampering each other, going on dates as you used to when your relationship just started.
That's true.
These are this has in fact showed very positive changes in in the relationship. Then I would say that knowing that there are non-intimate needs, as we discussed above, before also, that intimate needs, I understand, we figure that out eventually, but non-intimate needs are extremely important. You need to know कि सिर्फ हमारा physical touch matter नहीं करता sexual libido में या drive में. How we treat our partner also determines how comfortable or how accepted they feel by us.
Agreed, completely.
Yeah, and understanding that that your sexual libido will be affected by a lot of things. So interacting with your partner, that what are they going through is one thing, but understanding what can you do to help them in that situation.
That's true.
For example, I have had cases where the husband would say, she was angry that day, and we had sex, and I felt that she was using sex to resolve her stress, to reduce her stress. And the next time I suggested the similar thing, it became a huge fuss for us. So even though the husband was coming from a positive end, it didn't work out because in one situation she needed that sexual energy, release of sexual energy to reduce her stress. But in the other, she needed her husband to just hold her.
Yes, that's true. I know. I mean, this is very important for people in a relationship to understand that what that situation is demanding.
Absolutely correct. And then exploring and expanding your definitions as you move ahead with your relationship. There's definitely, we need to make sure that if we are a couple and we have explored our traditional ways of sexual activity, then maybe explore, engage more, figure out what else can work for you. And then for partners who have had relationships longer than 10, 15 years, they have kids. kids going to school, they have parents living in their homes. I would say that making sure that both of you turn up for each other, even if that requires for you to schedule your sexual activities, do that. Bring that into your schedule of day, of week, of month, but make sure that you turn up for each other.
Very important, because as I said in the beginning, at times we start taking things for granted, situations for granted. We need to see that how can we make things better for each other, where by understanding each other better. And as you rightly said, communication is the key for a lot of things. So I think today we understood a lot of things about a term called mismatched sexual drives. We understood what is mismatched sexual drives. We got to know that what can be the various causes behind mismatched sexual drives, how to cope up with mismatched sexual drives in a relationship. So, Ms. Twinkle, I would say thank you so much for helping us understand this term even better, because I'm sure a lot of us are facing this term, mismatched sexual drives, because of so many things working around us in our lives. So, thanks for being here at Qurex Podcast and helping us decode our sexual concerns.
Thank you for calling me here for this very overlooked yet sensitive topic.
That's true. Take care. Bye.